Okay, are we ready to do this? Let's make some sourdough starters. So I've actually never made my own from scratch before. I got mine gifted to me. I have had it, oh gosh, probably 8 years, 7 years. I love it. I was told it was over a couple hundred years old. You never know. But we're gonna make our own, because if you don't know someone who has one, or you can't buy one, I used to sell mine online, but if you can't buy one, we're gonna make one. It's super simple. I'm doing an experiment. I'm gonna start 3 with you today because, let's face it, things are in short supply. I don't know what you have access to. Maybe you don't even know what you have access to, but if you have access to one of these types of flours or a combo, then let's try it together. I'm gonna be doing 3 starters. Call me crazy, but I am the crazy bread lady. So, okay, I am gonna do a mix of whole wheat and unbleached all-purpose. Then I'm gonna do one with all-purpose and one with whole wheat. My starter that I use and love is a whole wheat starter. And I love that because it's a lot less maintenance, and it also is a milder starter because I keep it in the fridge. And I've had no issues ever making bread with it that way. I just pull it out and make my bread, and it's great. So we're gonna do this thing. What you need is whatever flour you have access to, and starters love consistency. So if you do have a bulk supply or a big bag of all-purpose unbleached flour, then use that and stick with it. They love consistencies. They like to be fed the same thing. They like to know what to expect, especially when you're getting started. Feed it the same type of flour. Even within whole wheat, there's so many varieties. Even within hard white wheat or hard red wheat, there's so many varieties. So pick a brand, or if you're grinding your own at home, that's awesome too. And stick with that to feed your starter. So I have a half a cup of each kind in here, and then we're gonna just put it in a jar like so. If you don't have a jar, guarantee someone close to you has a jar they can leave on your front porch. So quart jar, just ask in your community pages on Facebook or whatever it is, say, hey, does anybody have an empty quart jar? If you really can't find one, message me. Because I don't want you to have to go buy a 12-pack at Walmart, but that is an option. If you want to make 3 starters, then maybe. I do like having 2 going in my fridge, so anyway, this is gonna be a fun experiment. Let's see which type of flour. I'd love to know what your guesses are on which type of flour gets going the fastest, or the mix. And then for water, all it is flour and water. So for your water part, you're gonna take a 1/4 cup, so we have half a cup in here, and when I teach you how to feed it later, we're gonna be doing equal parts. But to get it started, there's so much information online, you guys. You could have Googled this, but here I am, let's do it together, right? So there's so many ways to do it. I'm just choosing one way and then splitting it up and doing it 3 flours. So I'm gonna start with a 1/4 cup of water. Now here's the thing about your water. Your water needs to not have chlorine in it. There's one thing that will kill your starter, and it's chlorine. So if you're like, well, I don't know, does it have water? Does it have chlorine? You can look it up online, or just get some tap water in a pitcher or a container like this, or a jar, another jar, set it out overnight, and the chlorine will dissipate, right? It's a gas, it will dissipate, and then you can use that water to feed your starter. So now I'm just gonna mix them up, okay? I use this wooden spoon. It's gonna be really thick. I have never had an all-purpose flour starter before. It looks like glue to me, but that's okay. We're doing it. We're doing it anyway. All right, I'm gonna grab another spoon. This is gonna be quite thick, and I want you to add a little bit more water, because I couldn't even stir that in to my whole wheat one, but now it's just like super, kind of a thick paste. Okay, so I added probably closer to a half cup of water in that one. So I'm just kind of going by my instinct on this, which then I'll translate to you as I go. But this all-purpose one, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be biased against this one, but Okay, so that is like a thick paste as well. It's, you know, it's thick, like pretty gluey. So this one, I'm gonna steal the spoon and stir in my mixture. I'm actually really curious about this one. Okay, that's way too thick. So I'm gonna add a little bit more water, add like a tablespoon at a time till you get that thick consistency. Like this has, the whole wheat needs more water, and that's why I'm more used to doing equal parts, but we'll see how it goes. You basically just need to make a thick paste. On these ones I'm adding closer to probably maybe 1/3 of a cup. All right. So now, just a couple things to remember. Getting it in this thick paste-like consistency, you see it? Getting it in the consistency, it's more about a consistency, and you will learn that over time. As we go through this together, you're gonna learn what to look for and be aware of that. So that's what you need to know. You need to remember about the water, check for chlorine, set some out tonight, let it dissipate, and then we're just gonna leave it. So now we've got it mixed up. This is all it is, you guys, a starter. Now that it's in there, the flour that I've added has natural bacteria in it, and then you're gonna cover it. I have these lids that are great, and I've labeled them. This is my mixed. I have these lids that are great because they're not airtight. If you have the regular metal lids that go with these, just flip the inside part so the rubber ring is facing up, and that will be a non-airtight seal as well. So put that lid on. You can also use like a coffee filter or a paper towel over the top. I think I'm actually gonna experiment with the coffee filter just for this first week to really let quite a bit of air in there, but these don't create an airtight seal. Never put an airtight lid on your starter or you've created a bomb, because as this ferments and that process is letting off some gases, and you do not want that airtight seal, you're putting a bomb in your fridge, okay? So we are gonna leave these out. What's gonna happen is that bacteria in the flour and the natural wild yeast, there's over 1,000 strains of wild yeast in the air, and so those are going to collect. This is going to attract them, okay? Which can be a kind of funky process, but we're gonna get through it and get the good stuff out of it. So here's why I say if you have a friend with a starter, get it from them, because I don't know what I'm going to collect, and I don't know what you're gonna collect, and each strain is gonna be different. Some strains are gonna make amazing bread. So if you see someone on Instagram making amazing sourdough and you're like, well, what the heck, my starter sucks. They have a totally different strain of yeast in their starter than you will have, probably. I mean, guaranteed. So your environment, wherever you are, I'm gonna collect something different in my home in Arizona than maybe even my neighbor down the street would. So don't despair, just stick with the process, and we'll get you through this and get you a good starter at the end. So what I'm gonna do is use the coffee filters. They're gonna let a lot of air in, just stick an elastic around here, and we're gonna let it sit out on the counter, and we'll check on it tomorrow.